Hanover
Yes.
are going with things, man.
It's
What
going-
all if things are going?
It is. This is Giovanni Dennis, a young man who's a young journalist, a young father. What else?
I'm
Our
a Jamaican.
facilitator- a
Most
Jamaican.
importantly, I'm a Jamaican, and I'm a proud Jamaican, and all of we are proud Jamaicans, right? Yes, bad to bad and good to good. We are proud Jamaicans.
Woo-hoo! And my name is Empress, your co-facilitator and host today. This was a platform that we created using Up Yout. It's called Youth Empowerment Through Dialogue. And what we decided to do was to bring young people together from all across the parishes, every single parish, and engage you in a conversation with your elected officials. Yesterday, we held a workshop, which is the aim of the workshop was to build the capacity of young people to understand the role and responsibility of their member of parliament and their councillor. We want to strengthen their capacity to advocate for the issues affecting them. We have some young people who were trained yesterday in advocacy and governance and understanding the Constitution and their rights. They have created a priority agenda for their parish, and today we just want to have a family reasoning. So let's get this empowerment and advocacy going. I hand it over to Giovanni to lead.
My name is Leroy Dawes, and I am representing the Hanover Chamber of Commerce this evening. I'm sitting in for a president who is unavoidably absent.
My name is Ian Hales, Member of Parliament, Western Hanover.
Good evening. My name is Dave Brown, Member of Parliament, Eastern Hanover.
I'm Melda Crooks-Jones, representative from Mississauga at the Center for Investigation of Sexual Offenses and Child Abuse for the Parish of Hanover. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all. I am Detective Inspector Paul Sims. I am the officer in charge of crime for the Parish of Hanover, and I'm here representing the commanding officer, DSP Sharon Beeput, who is unavoidably absent this evening.
Violence in schools and violence in communities were among some of the most pressing issues facing youth in the parish here, and of course all across Jamaica, to be quite frank. In fact, according to a news report earlier this year, Elon Paul, who was then head of the CIB, Criminal Investigation Branch, Hanover actually recorded the highest jump in murder rate. Now, this is good, peaceful Hanover. I know I grew up and I always want to come Hanover. So that was a bit of a shock. In June 4 to be exact, 4 members of a family were killed in Mount Pleasant. And stakeholders, including the Parish Development Committee, the police, and the Peace Management Initiative, joined together to help tackle the rising crime in the parish. I think it has now gone down somewhat since then. The first question we have, though, to all our guests here, what are some of the factors fueling this rise in crime in the parish, and what is being done or what can be done to tackle this?
I would say that some of the factors that is fueling crime, from my perspective, is some persons are not able to deal with conflicts. That's one. We also have the lottery scam trade that's creating another impact. And we have gang activities, gang-related activities. These, I believe, are the 3 main factors that are contributing to crime in the parish. Now, what are we doing? From an operational perspective or standpoint, what we are doing, other than the investigative aspect, where we want to investigate, pursue these offenders and bring them to justice, we see the need to reach out to the communities. We want to have that sort of interaction because we know no matter how equipped any police forces in the world, they cannot solve crime all by themselves. Without that partnership, we cannot be successful. So there is the need to reach out to the community. We particularly want to reach the youth because we realize that most of the victims or even offenders fall within this category. So you see why it's very important for us to really reach out to those youths. And how we do that, we have community meetings, we have police youth clubs. These are avenues that we would use to reach out to youths to see what they're thinking, what is in their headspace. We, from the police perspective, we normally interact with youths, most time when they become offenders. And we want to change that, in that we want to be proactive, in that we try to use every medium that is possible, working alongside our partner, the SPC, and other state agencies, to see how much we can reach these youths and to have that mind change. If we don't change the mind, I'm not sure we're going to lose the battle against crime. So those are some of the few things that I've been doing to impact the situation here now.
I would agree with Detective Inspector Paul Stevens. Reaching the youth is one of the most important things we should do. As this program is here this afternoon, talk of youth. As a fact, the youth need to talk. Because most of the offenders, I repeat what he just said, are this age group. And we need to go out more, have public education, and to inform them of the danger of crime. In my department, I deal with mostly sexual offenses. And sometimes we have to go out because some of the sexual offenses contribute to murder. Because you're not going to have your daughter and to know that somebody sexual assault your daughter. You're going to take revenge. So as a fact, these are the things we need to go out and ask the youth to speak up. Talk up youth, that we can assist you.
Why do you think they're not talking? And how are you reaching them? You say we should, but what are you doing as Sisoka for preventative measures so that the abuse isn't happening with our young people?
So what we are doing here in Western Hanover, and we're not so much in Eastern, because Eastern is a bit far from where we are present. But we are working here, we are doing public education, we are going in the school, the library, they have in function, we represent them at the library, we go at the health center, we go at the street corner, we had widely publicized meeting where we talk to the community and encourage them and inform them of how to deal with sexual offenses and what to do. Because most of the time, some persons are not aware of how to deal with it. They take it in their own hand.
So one more question, has anybody been a part of that education? Anybody? Put your hand up if you've never met with Sisoka, never been a part of one of those programs. Let's just see some hands so we can understand that there's a new group here that you can engage after as well.
Importantly then, given this statistic from this mini survey here, how do persons get in contact with you? Because it is of course a very sensitive issue, the issue of child abuse and sexual abuses to our youth. How do they report it? How do they, if someone suspects that something is going on that they'd want to report and they may be afraid, they don't know where to go, how do they go about getting in touch with you?
They're afraid that police are informants, that this slang that they had. If they don't want to go to the police station, they have somebody in the community who they can speak to, in the church, at the health center, some person. It's not so tight you can't find anyone to talk to. Somebody can talk, you can drop a note. You don't have to say your name. Just drop a note, leave an information, we'll act on it.
Drop a note, where exactly?
At the police station, somebody from the church, somebody anywhere, business person, just inform them about what is happening, and if you trust them, they will inform us about it and we'll act on the information.
All right, just before I follow, and I see you as well, Detective Inspector, we have a question from the floor, from one of our youth.
My name is John Noor, and my question is to Madam from Sisoka. I'm wondering is there a program in place for persons who might have a disability, who might get raped or something? Is there a program in place for that?
Yes, the Child Development Agency have those programs on a regular basis, but they have the informed other persons who have disability to come and participate, and whoever has a disability and has been sexually assaulted, they can deal with the situation there, as also whatever further investigation they send a referral us to at the station.
What about somebody with mental disability?
Pardon me?
What about somebody with mental disability?
I think that is a bit challenging, but as possible, we deal with the situation.
I just want to also add to the medium by which these reports are generated at times. Through the schools and the guidance counselors, a number of these cases are reported because the students going to school, they have this one-on-one discussion with their guidance counselors. They develop confidence in them, and some of those reports which we would normally get they would reveal it to your guidance counselors who would in fact make contact with this Soca youth.
Okay. All right. So just quickly jump to our MPs just to answer the initial question. I know we've gone off already into some of the other issues. I see a question at the back as well, but we wanted to get our initial comments from our MPs as it relates to the whole issue of crime and violence in the parish and what we're doing to stem it, or what can be done, what is being done.
Right. Whilst it does not affect me in the eastern side as it does in the western belt, I still take a no-nonsense approach to crime. The security forces have my support, and I 100% support where crime is concerned. But nonetheless, I must say that crime, if we don't stem the crime, there's going to be a serious problem in terms of growth, nationally, and right across, I could say. Thank you.
In terms of crime in Hanover, I think one of the bigger problems in adding to what Mr. Sim said, we have to find a way to create more opportunities. Because every young person that you see sitting here have a dream.
What are you doing to create these opportunities that you speak of?
Several things. I think if you look at Hanover, first of all, being one of the safest parish, was one of the safest parish. And if you look at when the influx of investment start coming into Hanover, the landscape in terms of being one of the safest parish changed. When we started at Grand Palladium, we had some serious problem in the Q area. So with investment comes crime to a lesser extent. But in getting back to the point, if you look at every young person in Hanover, they'll tell you, we just want access, we want opportunity. And it's between government, the private sector, and all citizens. In trying, we have to work together in trying to create these level of opportunities for all of these individuals. So, not to glamorize it or anyway because it is wrong. I think at times when you meet with a young person out there that might be doing something that is not favorable or it's not within the remit of the law, they'll tell you this is an opportunity. And they'll say, you know, MP, for me to move away from this, something should be on the other side in terms of creating some kind of opportunity on the other side so that as an individual, as a young person, can move to that. So, but it starts in the home, and if all of us within our own capacity or wherever we are in life, if we can create such opportunity and just show young people that just be disciplined about it, work towards it, you can achieve anything you want in life. So for me, it's not everybody wants scam you, but everybody have a dream and everybody wants an opportunity, a fair opportunity.
One of the things that the Chamber has been taking a look at is the lack of opportunities that are available, because when we have done a SWOT analysis, we recognize that brain drain has been a serious challenge. We send more persons to colleges and universities from Hanover when you compare it to other parishes. If you go to the University of the West Indies, you'll find out that Lucea High School has a kind of section there because the number of graduates who go to UTech similarly, and the other universities. So when people are trained, the opportunities to come back are not available. But on the other hand, we recognize that the idea of self-reliance fill that gap where persons turn them hand and make fashion, and commercially you'll find more persons doing their little small businesses to provide employment for themselves and others and to prepare for their families. And so one of the things we did was to invite the JBDC into the parish to establish, you know, training programs and to indicate how these small business persons can get opportunity to financing, because that has been a problem.
1 second. And that, when was this, the JBDC?
About 18 months ago.
And what was it about?
To provide information,
right.
That's it, the Business Development Agency,
right.
provide information as to how one can gain access to funding and other opportunities.
Okay.
And we figure that if business persons, small business persons are given training so that they can manage their businesses, they can understand how to access funding and so on, then they can begin to improve that commercial component within the parish.
Okay, we have two questions. We have some very more important questions. I have several other issues we have to move on to, but I wanted to just stick a little bit up in on that issue of the training for businesses. Any other youth here aware of that JBDC training 18 months ago? Show of hands if you know of it. Yes, no? If you never know of it, let me see a hand if you did know of it, never know of it at all. All right. So it may be that, Mr. Dawes, we may need to have something like this more frequently. You would agree?
In fact, in analyzing the response from that event, we recognize that there's a need. It was in this very hall over 2 days, and the response was not as we would have wanted. So there's the need for more of that kind of intervention, so that persons can understand the avenues of opportunities so that they can improve themselves.
Another avenue that is very critical to the development of any country, any parish, or any constituency is a matter of transportation on roads. And that's a very important issue. And Ghani and Hazel, who is from the eastern section of the parish, has a question as well in that regard.
Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. MP. In eastern Hanover, where I have to pass through several communities. Success, I live in Success itself. And the infrastructure in terms of the roads have not been up to standard, because at this moment, only 2 registered public passenger vehicles are operating on the road. And there are lots of minibuses that should operate on the road, but because of the bad roads, they choose not to. And this has led to an influx in robot taxis, and they want some of them start out by charging the regular fees that the taxis charge. Then they want to double or triple it to go to the same destination. And when it reaches certain times of the night, you have to charter a vehicle, which you can pay from $1,000 up to bring you to Success. So my question is, this question is to Mr. Brown. Can there be a set timeline for work to be started on that stretch? Or even not started fully, but on a phase basis, community by community?
All right, let me say this is that road, that particular road you're referring to, it is the Parish House Road. I had a recent discussion with the council, and I know that presentation was made for that road to be, I think, I'm a certain amount of road to be done, but I expect it to be done within this financial year. Hopefully by the 3rd quarter of this year, that road should be completely rehabilitated.
They say that a lot of times we hear these things are going to be done and they're not, but as our representative member of parliament, you've informed us that the councillor is the one who's going to be in charge of that project, right? You'll be overseeing it. But what if it's not done? What are the young people supposed to do?
Oh, I'm saying that I am, well, let me reconfirm, I'm extremely accessible. Now, as I said before, I called to a meeting, and I am willing to come just about anywhere to just about anywhere, whatever the nature of the meeting is. Just call me and I'll come in, we can discuss it.
What's your phone number?
Well, I can reach that 479-6052.
Okay, all right, thanks so very much. There was a question from the gentleman at the back, one of our youth advocates. You had a question from about 5 minutes ago. Coming back to you right now as I had promised. Go ahead.
The question was for the Sasoka representative. When you do preventative measures, do you go out and do a survey to see how successful it is? Because I personally, I don't hear about Sasoka unless, well, it's the first I know about Sasoka. And I know people around me that speak out and say, boy, this is happening, that is happening. And they don't mention anything to say, okay, Sasoka, but there is Sasoka to help me. And I'm sure that they don't know. I see many persons here from in and around my neighborhood, and they put up their hands as well to say they don't know about Sasoka. So yes, you say you do and you go out, but I believe you should, after you gather everything, you should go out and do a survey to find out how successful it is. From my standpoint, I do not see anything like that happening. So I just believe that you should go.
Which area are you in?
Johnson.
Okay?
Johnstown.
Johnstown in Lucea?
In Lucea.
I am not sure that I am a popular person in Hanover. At the health center, at the library, at Russell's High School, at Green Island High School, at Hopewell High School. So I am not aware of what he's really saying about that going around to do. I'll educate, public education about Sisoka and the purpose and the function of what Sisoka do. In Johnstown, as you refer, he's from Johnstown, we have several reports from there. And I'm sure it's Sisoka person who deal with those situations. And we work along with CDA, the Children Developmental Agency. We work also alongside with the Family Court, with the Victim Service Unit and other agencies.
Just to clarify, because when you were speaking, I could hear a lot of a hush mumbling going on. Any persons from the areas that you mentioned just now? Are you here aware of some of the work that Sisoka is doing, that you can report to Sisoka and some of the issues you may have regarding child abuse and sexual abuse and stuff of that nature? Yes or no? No. You had a question? Could you just come forward and ask us where anyone where from?
I wanted to know where do we find Sisoka or whatever.
At the Lucea Police Station, we are assigned to the CID section, that right? At the post office, we are upstairs.
Okay. Satisfied? Is your contact number for the office?
956-2304. You can call the guard room also, 956-2333. And that's a Sisoka personnel. We are upstairs.
Well, I am Georgia McIntosh, and I am from the district of Richmond. Let me be clear. I am also a student at Sanctuary Teachers College currently, where I have to leave to go to classes at 8, and my classes finishes at about 6. I don't have any internet services, so I have to stay back to use Sanctuary internet. When I reach Lucea, go into Richmond, I don't have any transportation because there's only one taxi, and it's a robot taxi to be of a fact, and it's not running and it's not getting legal because the roads are not properly. So because of that situation, I have to spend money to fix the car. I have to pay extra money to call somebody to pick me up. Not only my community, there's other persons will notice when I say road situation, everybody sick. So I am asking my MP.
Who is your MP?
Mr. Ian Ailes. What is the issue with the road conditions at only my community? What can we do as you to help you develop a plan to help in the fixing of the roads? And what else? Because I have another issue. I don't have any water. Issue to the water situation is this. I only get water sometimes when they're having a celebration for Muslim ID. So where is the water? There is a tank. Other situation. As a future teacher in Richmond, believe me, I did not actually born in Richmond. I go there approximately 7 years ago. But to say this, I would like to develop Richmond. But if there is no road, no transportation, no water, I don't think I want to be part of Vision 2030.
All right, Georgia.
Better
Mr. Hales. Thanks very much, Georgia.
That's what I thought I was going to get away. Quickly though, she said something serious. And let me start with the road first. Jamaicans don't care if the road is a parish council road or it's an NWA road. It's in two portions. You have the section from St. Simon going on up. That road belongs to the Member of Parliament. Last year, I spent $10.5 million on that road. The Richmond section of it belongs to the parish council. No, I am not passing the blame to the parish council because you don't care whose road it is, if it's an MP road or a parish council road, you just want the road to be fixed. I will say here, the next set of funds that I get through HOPE, that's the name of the program, HOPE. Up to last week, the Richmond Road came up again in terms of, even though that section does not belong to me as Member of Parliament, that I should fix it. So here it is. The next $10 million that I get from HOPE, $5 million will go in terms of rehabbing the Richmond Road. That's number one. Number two is in terms of the water for Richmond. It's a tricky thing, and let me explain why I said that. You said only when you have Bustamante function, you get water in Richmond. There's a serious water problem there in terms of Richmond, Bark, St. Simon, Blenheim coming on down. The tank from Clinging Hill that serviced that entire area is up for repair. The last time I spoke to NWC, there's supposed to be an agreement where they could come in and do some remedial work on the entire water situation for Blenheim, Bark, Richmond, and all the surrounding communities. Now, we don't have that much water in the first place that goes to that area. So we had to turn off the water somewhere so that the people down Blenheim can get it. So it's on a rotation kind of basis now. I am planning to meet back with the NWC because there's around 7 or 8 areas next week. There's around 7 or 8 areas that is without water in the constituency. Over the last 4 years... Is water trucked to the area on a regular basis? Yes. Water is trucked to the areas on a regular basis, people? Yes?
Let me address that situation of water being trucked to the area. As I said, I am a student. I don't know if when I am not there, is it free?
Yes, it is free.
I don't know if when I'm not there, that free water come around, but each time I pay full my 400 gallons tank, I pay no less than $3,000.
Well, I can say to you that areas that are without water, the Minister of Local Government sent $10 million a couple of weeks ago to the council in terms of trucking water. I, within my capacity as Member of Parliament, have $3 million available to truck water. So wherever when citizens come, we truck water to those areas.
You said, which was very commendable, you're not trying to do the blame game thing to say who is responsible for the roads. There are some roads, as I mentioned, you're not responsible for. But what, though, are you doing to advocate, whether it is in Parliament or to the National Works Agency, to have the road fixed? What are you doing? And what you're not doing right, why not fix it, essentially? Or what needs to be improved?
Over the last 5 years, we have spent $1.4 billion doing road repair work in Western Hanover. If you take it from the Glasgow to Lucea section, any section you take it from in terms of major thoroughfare, all of those roads are basically repaired. We have Askinage, Mount Pleasant. We have one side of the constituency that we have to focus on. But as I said to you before, all the things set up, you have Member of Parliament Road and you have Parish Council Road. So for example, I received HOPE funds 3 weeks ago. And I picked 2 roads. I picked Ginger Hill, which they have been suffering for a while, and I picked Spring Mountain, where they have been suffering for a while also. But I want you to understand that in terms of this program, we only get assistance probably 2 or 3 times a year. So when they give you $10 million, you have to now decide which road you're going to spend it on. So it's a matter of priority. And all roads, everybody will tell you that every road is a priority. But I can only work with what I have. And I want you speak in terms of advocating. Hanover pays more taxes in terms of tax compliance than any other parish in the country. So when you might go to a minister of transport and works, and you say, hey, here's my demands and here's the problems I have, you will get assistance. But you must also understand that in terms of the fiscal space, in terms of how much money we have to spend, it's only can go so far, and you can only touch but so much member of parliament with what.
Importantly then, just to get you to answer Georgia's question, because those are the problems and you have brought them to them. Georgia is asking, how can she and the other youth in the area help you to get something done?
I think the first thing is set up a community group in Richmond. Let's meet and talk like the other communities, and let's start putting some necessary investment within the communities that are suffering from these problems. I can tell you, the last group that was set up was in a community called Parish. And it was the same problem, road and water. There's road there now, and there's water, and there's an active young people group there in terms of youths that is working in terms of furthering their community and furthering the growth of Jamaica.
Georgia, are you willing to start that group? You're willing to start that group?
I'm willing to start that group, but let me first say something. Starting that group, having a talk, people talk.
Need funds. Mr. MP, you're willing to assist this group and ensure that they can push further? How can they reach you? Where's your office? What's your number?
My office is around, in front of the hospital.
Yes.
Right around there. Everybody will know where the hospital is. That's where I am. That's number one. Number two is, in terms of when she speaks about funding, I've been able.
What's a contact number for the office? Because I hear a few mumbles that the office is always closed. Is that true? Mr. Hales?
The office is open every day from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. every single day. So that's number one. That's all the way. Number two is...
Right. Are you there? Are you accessible, Mr. Hales?
I am there 2 days a week.
Which day and which day?
I'm there Thursday and half day on a Friday.
So it's there Thursdays and half day on a Fridays.
In terms of we have just completed, in terms of the budget cycle, I'm normally in Kingston Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and at times on a Thursday. So the times are flexible depending on when one has to go away to Kingston and do business on behalf of the constituency.
Right.
In terms of funding that she speaks about, one of the things that I've been able to do successfully is within the community groups is whatever access they want in terms of employment. I can honestly say, for example, when Royalton Hotel was about to open, we have probably at least 140, 150 young people from Western Hanover that is employed at Royalton Hotel as we speak, from community groups these individuals came from.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hales and those who are here. My name is Shantae Grant and I'm a constituent of Kingsville. I have quite a few questions actually because coming off of...
Go on with them one at a time. We're going to probably allow you to ask 2 right now, but we have to get other people to talk as well.
Alright, coming from that point that they just raised a while ago about the opening hours, and what I would like to know, you said you're there on Thursdays and Fridays. Are you available for face-to-face meetings, and what do we have to do to see you face-to-face when you're in office?
I'm available I do community meetings regularly. Hold on. You speak that you're from Kingsville, right?
Yes,
I was at Riverside School right in the square there. Thursday, between the hours of 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. we kept a meet there in regards to Ginger Hill.
All right.
And the community. This Thursday.
How regular are those meetings held? You said regularly. What? Yep. Is there a set? So, for example,
system.
Every month, right? Is there a set structure for schedule for those?
No, I'll tell you this much. There's a level on it. There's a level of engagement with communities. And for example, the same community you're from, Kingsville, Ginger Hill, Riverside, Williamsfield, said they wanted a meeting. We facilitated the meeting and set it up. And they had some issues in terms of Riverside Road, Williamsfield, and Ginger Hill. We completed 75% of Riverside Road. We're now going into Ginger Hill, started in 2 weeks. I think those were the 2 major issues that they had within that area there, and that they need a community center in the Hartport area.
Okay, and that was one of the issues I raised this morning. However, do we just walk in when we need to see you? Because a couple of my colleagues and I, we actually drafted a proposal that we'd like to present to you.
I'll tell you this much. Anytime you want me for a meeting, I'm available.
Okay. Yeah. How do we get in contact with you? Could we have your email address so we could send the proposal to you?
833-1471. 833-1471.
Is there another number just in case we can't get through to that one?
Yes. 884-799-7.
Talk up you, Mr. I like the question so far. You don't finish it? Yes, I promise you 2 now. You want to go to 4 right now? Go ahead.
You mentioned that you spent, based on the information that we received yesterday, the members of parliament are given $20 million to spend. And you mentioned just now that you spent $10.5 million on road alone. So that's more than half of the money.
No, that's yes, okay.
Right. Is there a committee in place, and who are the members of that committee who decide what are the priorities for the communities? You mentioned also that in speaking, you said I picked this road and I picked that road. How do you decide which road is most in need of the development at that particular point in time? Is there a committee, and who are the members of that committee?
I could tell you it's the one that I get most pressure from. That's number 1. But number 2 is, as Member of Parliament, I don't know everything. And I never claim that I know everything. And if you take, for example, the constituency development fund, there's a part that comes for education. There's a part that comes for welfare activities in terms of burial. And there's a part that comes for issues that the constituency faces on a daily basis. Now, if you ask me, in terms of when I answered to you a while ago that a member of parliament doesn't know everything. If you take, for example, this year, we have taken, I myself as member of parliament, in not knowing everything, I have taken $5 million from the Constituency Development Fund. And we set up a civic group within Lucea, Reverend Clark, Reverend Bates, and a couple other civil society members from within Lucea and pastors across my constituency in terms of reaching out to young people through the churches, in terms of offering scholarships and all of that, because I don't know everything. So it's but whenever I get funds in terms of the fixed road, it's normally an engagement between myself and the community and the small group which sits down in terms of an oversight committee and have those discussions and then start with the implementation.
I would really like to know who are the persons who are on that sit-down committee, and just to see if there's fair representation for all the communities
I can say to you,
the support.
I'm always looking for young people to help me, and it's no open secret, because I think where your generation is, and if Jamaica is going to change as a country, and if we're going to prosper, it is individuals such as yourself within your demographic in terms of age group that is going to make such a difference in Jamaica. So I am ready to engage you on any level or any young people within this constituency.
Thank you very much, sir, and I'm willing to assist. May I be ready, please? One last
we won't, because I know that the Member of Parliament doesn't have long,
and we have a lot of questions. So what I would like you to do, young people, is to just come and like, thank you. And guess what? You have 2 numbers to follow up. All right? So we want to we have some more questions. We want to
Yes, we do.
go to the mic as well.
Yeah,
so
once you have a question, just stand up at the microphone so we can know that you have it. Otherwise, we won't know that you have the question to ask, all right? There's one person that has been holding her hand up for about more than 5 minutes now. Just behind you, Mr. Hales. Well, 2 of them actually. But that one first, right there, yes, you? Yes, you can ask your question right now. Mr. Hales, if you want to take a little sip of your water, you can. I know you've been talking. A lot of questions been directed at you here. Is this a good thing? Oh, it may. That's how you get. Oh, that's a good thing. So admitting same one, try to get better. So let us continue. Go ahead. What's your name? Where you're from? Who your question directed to?
Okay. Hi everyone, members of the panel. Good afternoon. My name is Tanisha Watson, and many persons might know me. All right. So, in terms of youth development and youth empowerment, I strongly believe that youth should be empowered and youth should be developed. I have Hanover in my heart, and I actually don't want to leave Hanover, but I want to direct my question to members of parliament, and I heard Mr. Dawes, who is a very dear friend to me, yes, who is a member of the Chamber of Commerce. I want to, find ways in which to let youth stay in Hanover. In terms of youth development, not what we got you we don't want to stay. To be honest, let me see all those persons who do not want to stay here, stay in Hanover because of the lesson opportunities that are not here. Yes, there are many persons who do not want to stay in Hanover. What can we do to be in partnership with you persons, you here, to develop youth in Hanover? And also, how can we find ways in which to make youth interested in developing Hanover? Because Hanover, I don't want to use underdeveloped, but that is the only word I can find right now to say that Hanover is underdeveloped in terms of youth development, youth empowerment. And you know of the Hanover Youth Information Center, many youths do not use that, right? So we want to know how can we partner with you to develop Hanover as youth so that we can stay in Hanover and develop Hanover in such a way that we can make Hanover one of the best parishes in Jamaica.
I think we'll also ask both MPs to respond.
To respond to that question, yes.
I think most importantly, it starts from education. So even if you go to UE, you come back, that's number one. But number two is, one of the things I do, and we're constantly looking for young people in terms of assisting, is that I spend at least $8 million a year in terms of offering scholarships to young people whose parents cannot afford to pay. So I do that, and we're currently doing that as we speak, because it's almost back to school. So it's taking almost a half of the constituency development fund and pushing that in terms of education, because that's the first investment that you have to make in terms of youth, in empowering yourself as young people, and I do that. In terms of when you speak though, in terms of you don't know if you should come back to Hanover or you should go elsewhere. Hanover, this side of Hanover was basically tourism and manufacturing. Manufacturing is gone because we can't compete on that level anymore. So manufacturing is basically gone. So it leaves tourism. And I can tell you some of the plans that I see that is coming on stream in terms of tourism. It is important that you return to Hanover, and it is important that you play a vital role in your community. In that breath, Mr. MP, we had someone, Daniel Dixon from Blenheim, who had a question yesterday but was unavoidably absent today, saying that this is the birthplace of the country's first Prime Minister, Alexander Bustamante. His home can be made into a tourist resort to assist the community to earn revenue. There are persons in the community that can cater to tourists by providing services or goods such as craft.
Now, in your plans for the tourism for the parish, how do you think we can include that in? And this is for both of you as well.
I think it started first from the fixing of the road. There's $20 million allocated to do that entire corridor back down into Cousins Cove so that you can have access to that entire area. But I can honestly say to you, it's not everybody going to go somewhere in terms of tourism. You have to make it attractive, first of all, and you have to make it enticing enough that somebody will want to go there. So in terms of the aesthetics and the attraction, it is a more bigger program than in terms of just busing people up there now. There are some infrastructure things that needs to be sorted out before such things can happen.
And you said there's a big plan in place that the youths want to come back for tourism.
In terms of tourism.
Okay, what's that big plan? Someone has a question in terms of the tourism. Just go ahead where you're from, ask a question.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Shantika from Bristol. In terms of tourism, question though, who do we speak to in regards to owning certain tourist attractions that are in the parish to say, yes, it is Hanover and that is a part of Hanover? Because in regards to Dolphin Cove, when it is being marketed, they say Dolphin Cove Negril, it's in Hanover. So then if we have nothing to say that it is for Hanover and from Hanover, then what do we market to say Hanover is a good place?
Let me just answer that one question. If you look at where Hanover border starts in Couples Negril, and everybody will tell you that Negril is Westmoreland. But basically the majority of Negril in terms of the tourism product is in Hanover. So, but the first thing is, we had, a couple of weeks ago, requested that the sign be moved to the border of Hanover, where, somewhere close to where Cosmos Restaurant was in Negril. That's where the border starts, at Couples Resort. So that's number one. Number two is, people will tell you that from a marketing standpoint, the reason why they say Negril is because it's catchy. Negril has
a big brand.
Yeah, it's a big brand.
By itself.
And you want to touch yourself in terms of to a brand that is well established already, and that is what Negril is. But I understand your concern.
Mr. Brown, yes, go ahead.
Right. The question is stemming migration. I know this parish is bravery. The problem, I don't know if this is a problem, but I think we need to look at it now. When these students go there to these tertiary institutions, I think it's about time they start to look at entrepreneurship. They need to start to look coming back to employ rather than to be employed. And I think that is one of the problems we have. And everybody wants to be the doctor, the nurse, the teacher, and so on. But I think that once you matriculate out there to the tertiary institution, you need to start to look at going to entrepreneurship. Come back to the parish and give up what you have to give.
Aquila, you had a question for about 10 minutes now. Coming back to you. We do also have two follow-up questions, one from the young miss right here and the one also just behind you, Mr. Brown. So the questions are indeed coming. But go ahead first, Aquila, you had a question for about 10 minutes now.
Yes. Mr. Hill said that he's based on opportunities for youths. And pertaining to the Dolphin Cove, he said it's branded with Negril because it's more a tourist attraction. But if we don't make our own brand for Hanover, how do you think people will know about it? They will come to Dolphin Cove and drive through and say, yes, it's in Hanover, but it's branded to Negril. Negril is already a tourist attraction. So what is going on for Hanover? And pertaining to the opportunities for youth, Royalton is just one investment. How many persons in here right now are leaving high school and need a job that has, you can call it that they are overqualified with subjects only? The most reason persons even look to go to college and university because they think that the only way they can get a fair job is if they have a big degree. Because I, for one, has distinctions and all that. And I cannot get a job because there's nothing to do. Most scamming is one of the highest cause for young youths right now, because if you should go in communities and find out from them, it is the only way they can actually get a living and say that they're surviving for themselves, even if they have subjects. So my question is, how are you supposed to go forward before even the next election to say that as of this year or next year, with their subjects, they can get employability opportunities as youths growing up? Because if we don't get the opportunity now, there is no Vision 2030 to look forward to.
As I said before, and let me just talk it straight. A member of parliament can only do so much. That's number one. Number two is, 6 weeks ago I met a young kid up in Chambers Bay. Has 20 subjects. Nowhere to turn. And we are offering him a full scholarship to go to China to be a doctor. So, what I'm trying to say is, is we as member of parliament sees the difficulties out there each and every day. And it's 21 of them, the father have, 21 kids. So, you have to look at some things outside of what the member of parliament can do and look at some of the decisions that some of our parents have made. Because look, I have gone to a lot of crime scenes in this, and trust me, I've talked to a lot of young people. And as I said before, in terms of opportunity, if you keep your nose clean, you work hard, and you're disciplined enough, you will get a break in life. So when this argument in terms of opportunity, you first have to push before somebody else can push you. So it's not that you sit back and you wait on the MP to push you. You find the MP or you find that business leader within your community. You see this young lady speak a while ago in terms of having a job. I said, okay, I start thinking in my head, where can I place her? Who can I call in terms of getting her an opportunity to get a job before September? That's how it works. Actively engaging your member of parliament and other stakeholders.
Mr. Dawes, I see you itching to say something as well. I want you to tie in the economic opportunities, because as Mr. Hill said, I don't want to be unfair here. There's so much and no more that they can do, but there's an important role that the business sector has to play in terms of taking on the youth as interns, offering them opportunities. The young, bright one, them with all 20 subject distinctions and university degrees. The business sector now, how does the business sector fit into this aspect? I see you have a question as well. I know it's related. I'm coming to you as well, and just behind Mr. Brown coming to you as well. But go ahead, Mr. Dawes.
Before I make my contribution, I'm going to ask MP Brown, because he just missed a glorious opportunity of, introducing one of the avenues where some opportunities are available. So, bro, what is happening in your constituency regarding the BPO industry and the opportunities? And I will follow up after that.
All right. Well, as you all know, there's a BPO sectors as we're opening up the new car center in Sunday Bay. We expect them to be, by the year end, 400 persons expected to be employed. And hopefully by next year, some 2,000 persons should be fully employed. Now, let me say this. I had the opportunity to go to the job fair, and I was not pleased with the amount of youths from Hanover that were really wanted to grasp the opportunity. And as a member of parliament, through my office, I did not see not much application came to me after several appeals. And I just appeal to you to get involved. Through me, I plan to partner with Kenny Roger Art Academy. And I really want to start an incubator for those who are just not qualified. I want to start an incubator where I can actually channel people into this this call center. And I'm just asking him, burn on you, get involved. As a member of parliament, we can only do so much and no more.
Well, Mr. Brown, on that very same issue, and I see the lady in red and the one behind you, I'm coming to both of you next. But the issue of communication, because I think that's maybe a major issue here, underlined issue, because I don't think it is a case where there are no programs in place. Madam from Sisoka, Madam Mr. Detective Inspector, you mentioned several programs, both of you. You mentioned programs. Well, you don't have many issues with your constituent, Mr. Brown. But a lot of the reactions from the person, they were mumbling and said, boy, I don't know about that, I lie, I tell whatever, because perhaps it is that they don't know. Is it a case where you very much need to improve on your public relations to improve them, and this is something that goes across the board for all of you?
Well, in this particular case, I know that the BPO sector or the call center, they had done a lot of media work, a lot. And through my office, I also do it. I did a lot. But for some reason, the person just not coming forward.
Okay, okay.
Remember I gave him my opportunity, part of the opportunity.
Yes.
The Chamber of Commerce is really concerned about the interagency advertising, because most recently we improved our website, and persons can just type in Hanover Chamber of Commerce and then they will go to the site. But what we recognize is that information is available but in parts and snippets. And therefore, we want to make sure that the various programs that the members of parliament would have access to and the other agencies are posted so that persons can go from time to time and see what is happening. Because most recently, the Heart Trust, NTA, the executive director was so upset because the BPO industry is asking for persons to come and work, but they are unable to find qualified persons. So we ask persons do not just run to college, but there are other areas that they can get into, cottage industries, and make sure that they have training that is fitted for the jobs that are available. Because right now, there are many opportunities, but the persons who want to get into them, they are not qualified.
On that point, I think there's a question that is almost directly related to employment opportunities. Go right ahead.
All right, good day. My name is Trudy, and prior to what you said, Mr. Hayes, about having scholarships for a lot of students from UA and UT, all good and well, but what about the youths who are not qualified, who have amazing talents, they are unemployed, and there's nowhere to facilitate them, and there's nowhere for them to embrace these talents and to put it in entrepreneurship, so that, and this would also generate good employment within Hanover and to lower and dilute the level of crimes that has been happening here. Don't you think?
So youth who are not qualified enough and who have talent, what we are doing for them, essentially?
I think number one is training is there. That's number one. And you have Heart, you have Hanover Institute, you have a couple of places that are doing training. The problem is, one of the bigger problems is, and I've encountered what MP Brown spoke to earlier, you will find young people that are qualified. And they'll tell you, for a starter salary, a lot of young people don't want to work for the $8,000 or the $10,000 a week. No, it's hard at times when you go and you gather up 200-300 young people in terms of names. You gather up 200-300 names. And 200 out of the 300 is qualified. But 100 of the young people will tell you, say, you know what, why is only $8,000 or $10,000, I'm now up for that. And I can only go back to my days when I started out at McDonald's. But you have to start somewhere, because you're not going to get to the middle or the top without not first entering the bottom. And that's one of the big problems we're having now, where you have those that think they can start from the top and not the bottom in terms of gaining that experience, that life experience to carry you through.
Hence, as the detective mentioned, a lot of scam, which is almost a get-rich-quick mentality. You had a question as well in the back. And then we have, we're taking, these persons will be asked the last set of questions because we have to wrap up now. I never realized the time going so fast. Go ahead.
Alright, so we spoke about opportunities and I want to commend both MPs. We are criticizing them about the work that they, we are criticizing them about the work that they are not doing, but we are not commending them for the work that they are doing. So we want to commend them for the work that they are doing. But I want to put forward something to you, Mr. Hales and Mr. Brown. In terms of public relations, advertising, there are jobs on the rise now. And we need some career development sessions for persons who do not know that these things are on the rise. With the rise of technology, with the rise of social media, even if you have job opportunities, I think that we should recruit some of these young people. We are actively on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr. We should be recruited to help you, both MPs, to promote these things so you can have a wider reach with the youths in Hanover. Because most of the things you do not know about, the BPO sector is growing. We have the BPO, one of the BPO sectors in Sandy. How many persons know about that? We are the minority of Hanover. How many persons know about that? So what we can do, you can recruit some of us to be the public relations arm, youth arm of Hanover, to help you to get this information out to all the youth in Hanover, to have a development and strength in Hanover so we can have that. We can lower the rate of underemployment and unemployment.
Mr. Hales, Mr. Brown, Mr. Tuano shake on your head. We want some commitment from on the now. Yes, no, maybe so. Can we take the youth them and use them for help with public? Yes. So we have a commitment from Mr. Brown. Yes. Mr. Hales, Mr. Brown, we have a commitment from you as well?
Yes, yes. Sure.
I want to know hold them to them where them say them going to take and use to help. Talk up you, Mr. F. All right, you have a follow-up question? Go ahead.
Prior to continuing to what I was saying, I mean, there are a set of youths. We do use the facility HYIC, that is the Hanover Youth Information Center. A lot of us, we are down there. The resources is very few. We do have incredible ideas. We have talented young people that can. We have people who are very good in drama. I am a dub poet. We have artists. We have incredible young people down there. We just don't have the resources, the funding. And if we are saying we are reaching out to you, if you can help us help you, then I believe that we at least have a peak of Vision 2030.
Help us help you.
As I said before,
thanks for that question, by the way.
As I said before, I would want to meet with you and your group. I mean, you set up the meeting, I come and we see how best I can facilitate you, and we move forward.
So he's willing to meet with you. You did take him number? No? I'm going to repeat it for you right now. And we give 2 numbers. No, take it down from right now, man. You don't want to miss it. Make him tell you again. Mr. Hales, give her your number quickly.
833-1471.
Okay, great. We have another question from the floor. Go ahead. What's your name? Where are you from?
Good afternoon. My name is Lucea Patrick. I am from the eastern region. Okay, I'm not here to ask a question. My point is on what was said earlier about the calling program. Alright, a lot of people here are saying, oh, it's a lie, they did not know about that. Alright, I'm speaking of experience because I know I was a part of the survey program that was put out there. So yes, there are programs there for youths in the summer that was set up for us. So yes, we were paid, it's not much, but as he said, we have to start small. And when we were out there, we were also giving people a brief idea on the calling program. So it is being put out there. So I believe most of these people, they know what they want to know. So you cannot look and assume. You have to give an ear to it. So being locked away and saying, oh, you're not hearing, or you're going to hear if you don't put yourself out there, that's the point that I'm saying.
So you need to put yourself out there a little bit more. You can't lock up in your house on Facebook alone every day and you don't know what's going on. Talk up you, Mr. Fee. I like that. I like that statement. Thank you very much. Go ahead. Your turn.
All right. Good day, everybody. My name is Michael Gordon, and I'm from Lucea, Hanover. My question is the state of affairs of the town, the center of the town, right? To me, it's quite frankly disgusting. Like the garbage situation, like I don't think there are like enough receptacles, and there's this one receptacle that is put in the middle of the town, like right across from the taxi stand, that's leaking and it smells like really bad. I think it's really distasteful and it's really an eyesore. In addition to that, my suggestion is, yeah, we have talented people that do a lot of things. My suggestion is this. Why don't we have like any recycling programs, stuff like that, that we could like, since our issues with like plastics, we could like gather the plastics, get it recycled, starting something like that if it's a case where we can't have receptacles for those garbage things. But as for the one like in the middle of the town, is there any chance it could be moved?
I will speak to the parish council about that. That doesn't fall under me, it falls under the Hanover Parish Council, but I'll speak to the Parish Council in regards to
I think that's like a huge stumbling block as it relates to like development, because
I think you know, Lucea has outgrown its capacity. I think two things government is looking at now and I'm pushing for is for a bypass road to go around, because you can hardly get through the town in terms of traffic, and that's number one. And number two is to look at the different infrastructure that is in the town. I know on the TPD called TEF, there's $170 million that have been allocated for the town of Lucea in terms of upgrading the town and the infrastructure.
You know when that should begin?
Going forward.
When will that begin?
They had a meeting with us 2 weeks ago at the Hanover Parish Council. I think though, as you and I know, in terms of implementation, in terms of the level of red tape that it takes, in terms of things that has to be tender and all of that. So I am looking sometime later this year, those development in terms of the town of Lucea, you will see start happening. But in terms of the drains, within Lucea, we have a problem with our citizens up in the hills, where they dump their garbage over into the drains and it ends up in the town of Lucea. Several times we have cited people in terms of those that dump garbage into the drains, but it's an ongoing process. And if you ask me, it starts at home in terms of how you deal with your thing at home.
Okay. All right, thanks so much. We have two more questions. I see you right here in the pink shirt. Let's go right there and ask it. We have to wrap up now. We really, actually, a little out of time, so go ahead.
Oh, yes, sir. The thing is, my mother is mentally challenged, right? And she actually got raped. And I have tried to the Sosoka, and I'm not really getting that much assistance, but I am trying. I have been trying from I was 19, now I'm 25. I've been trying from I was 19 to start a fundraising organization for the persons that are on the street, and a lot of things have happened that cause ups and downs. And I'm really wondering, sir, if you in any way, sir, could give a helping hand to those persons, because they need help. And I'm going to be having hopefully a meeting on the 31st of this month at the youth center. And so I am inviting you and even some of these persons that are here to come and be a part of that meeting, where we can either sit down and come up with some business ideas where we can raise funds for them. So they can come. Everybody here, I'm inviting them to come. And even you, sir, and you can invite other persons to come and see what we can.
When and where?
We can find some ideas or some to deal with this problem, sir.
When and where?
Well, it will be on the 31st of this
August,
month.
yes.
Right, at the information center.
Okay, what will it be? What is it?
Well, it is about, the name of the organization that I have been using from the time then is Delta's Cry Foundation. It is just to create like jobs to assist the persons. We create jobs, and then the funds that we get from the jobs, we would put it in the organization to actually assist these persons. So that's basically what I was thinking, that you could come and all these other persons, they could come and hear my ideas and work on it.
Okay, quickly. Yeah. I think it's very long what you're saying. To put it in brief, I think you probably write to them. Right to each of them right here. Because you raised several issues in that, and just to exchange the contact information afterwards so we can follow up. Because I don't think that we're going to get anything solid right now from that. But I think Sissoko as well wanted to respond to some of the issues you had raised initially. Go ahead.
He mentioned about his mother being raped over a period of time now. Have any idea if the matter has been reported?
Yes, I report the matter.
Alright. What I'll do after, we talk to you after.
Precisely, that's what I was saying. So we'll follow up afterwards on this, alright? Alright, moving right along.
Okay.
So we have to take this final question, everybody. I know we have a lot more to say. We will have to take the final one. George, yeah, asked for 20.
Okay, I am Tia Davidson and I'm from Eastern Hanover. I'm from Maryland, to be exact. You said one issue, Lucy, is that the garbage from up by the countryside. Well, I've been living in Maryland for over 17 years and I've never seen a garbage truck up that area. And our next problem is that we have really terrible roads and water. We don't have any water in Maryland. No pipe system, nothing. And we have one of the best primary schools in Hanover. So we need to develop community. So what is being done to Maryland?
So bro.
Right. Somehow I must be honest with you, I thought the question was really for Mr. Hill, but pick up Maryland is really mine. Well, let me say, for Maryland, next week, Saturday, through NHF and the Ministry of Health, we intend to start somewhere right here. We are going to refurbish the health center there. That's the first thing, that's the first plan I have for Maryland. And I plan at some stage. So there's a road that the DQ has been done on it already. But as Mr. Hales earlier said, the fundings come on a timely basis. And there are roads we have to prioritize. But at some stage, I expect to do that in Maryland.
The thing with the road is that when you guys start the road, you like put animal and leave it until it wash off, then it'll come back and continue when it's already gone. It's not done in a certain time period where it can be done properly. Yeah.
Well, it's really an NWA situation on the engineers. But as the member of parliament, it's my responsibility to ensure that the road is properly done. So I'll pass on that information.
All right. So just to wrap up now, I see George are pressing me to ask one final question. Mr. Hill has indicated he wanted to say something. Last 2 points. Go ahead first.
I just want to say one thing. For everybody that's on the western side, I'm going to rent this place Thursday, 4 o'clock. I will come back and we have the same kind of discussion. And I bring my entire staff and we can start doing some things.
Start the dialogue. I'm very, very happy for that. Big round of applause.
So what I want to show up, you know. Because I like this level of engagement. So next week, Thursday, 4 o'clock, we'll be right back here.
After all this, after we advise our situations and our problems, when, where can we have another meeting with all these persons here and other representatives of our constituency, both Eastern and Western? But thanks to Mr. Ailes, you have done a extremely excellent job of answering my question.
Lovely. So, one of our objectives happened right now, right? For those of you who were here yesterday, we wanted some answers, but I just want to talk about the follow-up. It's up to you, and you heard from our team that you have to be involved. You have to take action. You need to charge your follow-up. Because if your members of parliament are answering to the elderly and all the other groups, you have to advocate for the young people and what you want to see. One of our team members will be there as well this Thursday to assist in galvanizing the youth to follow up and to show up and to take action. But this is a beginning, and I want our members of parliament to understand that a lot of our young people don't know what your role and responsibility is as a member of parliament and how you represent us and what are you supposed to do outside of a meeting like this and in the community when it comes to passing laws and all the other things that you're involved in, right? What is that process? And as Giovanni said, there's an issue with communication. And we have to fix that immediately so that we can understand the way forward. So we will follow up. We're going to ask you as you exit to take a moment to shake, greet, hug, and have a one-on-one with maybe at least one young person so we can truly see this dialogue, yeah, happening more than just this, but personally, you are one-on-one with the young people and they can feel important and feel that you are definitely here to serve them. Giovanni.
Yes, wow, we have come finally to the end of this. I think this has been a very, 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 well, hot too, but a very, very fruitful meeting. Give yourselves a round of applause. You've been very attentive. Very, very good questions coming out. I also want to thank all our representatives for coming. They fielded some, well, perhaps some of the toughest set of questions being asked, and they tried their best. So give them a big round of applause. Thanks to them. The youth of Hanover, as I said before, the United Nations Democracy Fund, of course, they are responsible for everything on us here. They fund it and they support what we're doing. So we give big thanks to the sponsors, essentially. So give them a big round of applause. Empress and the entire Talk Up Youth team and everybody else. I want to say me a chat. We really don't know that. The entire team behind the scenes, they do all of the work. Them do very, very hard. Big them up, please.